Hi, and welcome back to the Wasteland Podcast. I'm your host, Lee Syatt, and I'm so happy to have you here. I actually had a really good week. We'll see how this week goes. So last week I was in Florida, and I actually ended up losing almost 3.5 pounds, 3.4 pounds, and it was a little unbelievable. And I'm finding out this week that it might have been a little bit wrong. It's weird. It's frustrating. Like some people, my friends and my family laugh at me a little bit. Not like laugh, they're not mean, but every time I travel now, I have a scale. I don't know what TSA thinks. I don't know what they think I'm weighing, but I travel with the same scale because I know that A, it's important for me to weigh in, and B, it also I've heard from people like my brother Jordan Syatt, who I've had on the podcast. He told me that different scales will show up differently, and it's true. My mom has a scale, and it's about a half a pound heavier than the scale I use. But then also, when I earlier this year, I went and stayed in Florida with my dad for a couple months, and I drove down. And when I was driving down, I asked my brother, if the floor, like the surface that you weigh yourself on, also plays a difference in your weighing in, and he said yes. And it's actually kind of fun. It's like being in space, like how you're weightless in space, not weightless, but you weigh less. I wish you were weightless. That'd be fun. If you ever put your scale on the rug, it takes so much weight off. And obviously, I wasn't weighing myself on any rug, but I was frankly kind of surprised that I lost 3.5 pounds last week because I went to my great aunt's birthday party, and I had onion rings and cake and cookies. Not a lot, but I had it, and I was just a little bit surprised I lost so much weight. And now that I'm back in Massachusetts, I weigh in tomorrow, and I'm about 1.5 pounds heavier than what I was last week. And I don't think I gained 1.5 pounds. I did. The frustrating part about weighing yourself on a regular basis is the fluctuation. And so on Tuesday nights when I weigh in, I give myself a little bit of a cheat day. And I had ice cream. It's not a little, it's a cheat day, which I actually do have to tone back. And if I end up gaining weight this week, I will probably be skipping my cheat day this week. But I went to, we got sushi, my dad and I had a lot of it. And there's something about rice that just sits in your stomach and like absorbs water, and it takes a while to vacate the premises. I'll put it that way. And I've been eating a lot. I think I know I mentioned it on here. Like the Green Giant cauliflower rice. I eat it like 4 or 5 times a week. I love it. I don't love it. Let me back that up a little bit. I tolerate it. It tastes fine. It's more about the texture. It's like just more of like when I eat, I like to have a little bit of starch, either rice or potatoes or whatever, on my fork, and then I put some meat on it. And I like to have it's sort of like a bowl. I basically make a bowl for myself. And I used to eat a lot of rice, and then I switched to couscous. But I've been having the cauliflower rice because it's A, a vegetable, and B, just so much less calories than rice, and it also doesn't sit in your stomach. So eating that rice is I don't think I gained weight this week. I really don't. I feel like I was good, but I could have been better. So I don't know if I lost weight, but I think that it's good. That's why they always tell you, or I don't know who they are. I've heard for a while that you're really not supposed to focus on the number, and that's all good and fine. But let's be honest. When you get to be big, no matter how big you are, I do feel bad. I don't want anyone. In the past I've said, oh, like I might have made it seem like people who only have 20 pounds to lose, like it isn't valid. That's not true. If you, whatever size you're at, if you're unhappy with it, I can understand. It's probably a similar feeling. It feels more to me just because I had such a long way to go. But the number's important. It really, I wish it wasn't, and I'll need to hope a worry that I have is I'll finally get to a healthy place, and the number will still be kind of important, and that could be dangerous. So I'm working on it, but it's there's for me, I've been doing this almost exactly a year. Like, it'll be 10.5 months this week. And I've had literally 1 week where I plateaued. I stayed the same. I have not, knock on wood, gained weight any week. And I'm hoping I'm going to work out today and tomorrow, and I'm hoping that I'll at least maintain for this upcoming week. But it's something that I have to work on, being so obsessed with it. And something else strange happened to me today before I get to our guest. It's been happening over the last couple months, but in my head, I'm still the same person, like weight-wise. I understand that I've lost weight and I feel better, and I know I look better, but it's something that I would love to know if you feel the same way, if you've lost any sort of weight. I look at the clothes that I'm wearing, and I don't think I'm going to fit into it. Specifically shirts. Jeans, not a little. I am a little surprised, but like I'll look at like a large, and even an XL. I pretty much fit into most larges now. I'll just look at what the shirt is, and I'm like, I'm never gonna fit into that. I just still see myself at the same size, and then every time I put a shirt on, I'm like, oh my god, I actually fit into this shirt. And it's just small little things, but as when I was feeling bad about maybe gaining or just maintaining this week, I was like, oh, at least I fit into a really small shirt. And I know an XL for some people, like, that's not small. It's not, but when you were barely fitting into a 3X, but on your way to probably needing a 4X, being down to just a regular large or even an XL is pretty great. And this is an XL, and it's actually getting kind of big. So I'll probably be donating these XLs pretty soon. But what I am excited for this week's episode, for this reason, is the mental aspect of everything. And the next 2 episodes are going to be not opposites, but different points of views. So in the last round of interviews that I did, and I'm going to be doing some more, so email me, wastelinepodcast@gmail.com, if you want to jump on. Also, if you end up missing an interview, or if you decide, oh, I'm too nervous, just email me. I got to be honest, there were a few people this time who just didn't show up, and I get it. It could be a nerve-wracking thing, but I'm not going to be mad. Just tell me that you don't want to do it anymore, and we'll be fine. But this great person, Rose Stein, came on, and she's a very unique person. If you can find her at Rose Stein, Stein Coaching, at Rose Stein Coaching, and she has a very unique background. She has a master's in health education, specializing in nutrition. She has the educational background, but how she chooses to help people is she is a clinically certified hypnotherapist. Now, I can be as skeptical as anybody, and I'm not telling anybody that this is the way to do it. That I frankly she sent me, I'm going to be doing, and I'll talk about it in the next couple episodes. She sent me one of her sessions, and I actually talked to my dad, because my dad has done it too. I'm not sure if or how this works. I haven't done it. I don't want to come on here and saying, oh, this definitely works, or this is real. As I found out through doing this podcast and through losing weight over the last year, it's a very mental thing. There's a physical aspect to it too, but a lot of it's mental. And if this hypnotherapy, and it's not from what it's not like they're not, I think I even bring this up during the episode. No one's putting a watch in front of your face and you're not going to bark like a dog. But it's like retraining your mental. And if it works for you, I'm thrilled. But just like for me, the OMAD, the 1 meal a day, has worked amazingly. I know that there will be some people that haven't tried this, that maybe this will inspire you to give it a shot. Maybe this is what works for you. So I'm just trying to find different possibilities and open my world and your worlds up to different possibilities and different ways of doing things. So I am very honored to talk with Miss Rose Stein of Rose Stein Coaching, and I hope you enjoy it and get a lot out of it. Oh, sorry, before we get to Rose, I did want to let you know that this episode is brought to you by Sheath Underwear. To celebrate the 100 pounds that I lost, Sheath sent me their underwear. They're great for guys like me. When you work out, you don't want your things flopping around, getting all weird. Sheath Underwear has a 2-pouch compartment. It's supportive. They're soft. You look great. You feel great. And you're supporting not only me, you're supporting an American company and a veteran-owned company. U.S. Army soldier Robert Patton came up with the idea on his second tour in Iraq. Support this awesome veteran-owned company because they support me and they make a great product. Go to sheathunderwear.com, promo code Syatt to get 20% off of your first order. That's sheathunderwear.com using promo code Syatt, SYATT, to get 20% off of your first order. Every order comes with the Sheath Underwear 100% money-back guarantee. Go to sheathunderwear.com, promo code Syatt. Get Sheath Underwear and let them support your balls. So thank you very much. And again, thank you very much to Rose Stein for coming on. And please enjoy this episode of the Wasteland Podcast. Thank you for coming on. It's so nice to talk to you, Rose.
Yeah.
I was going through your email, and you have a bunch of expertise. You actually have a master's in health education specializing in nutrition. So what is that? What do you like? What inspired you to get that degree, and what do you do with that degree?
That's a really good question that I am still figuring out the answer to this day. It's one of those degrees where you're like, that's really awesome. Okay, and now what do I do and how do I make money? Like, what
Right.
even is this?
At least you're not alone. I'm going through the same thing.
So one of the things that inspired me, I worked at a hypnosis center because that's one of the things on my list as well that I do. And so I'm a clinical certified hypnotherapist, and I was working at the hypnosis center for about 5 years. And it used to be that most of the people that came in to quit smoking. And then over time, the clientele changed, and more of our clients were coming in for weight loss. And so I was, I taught the nutrition classes, and I did all these coachings with, women who, typically women, but some men as well, who wanted to lose weight. And, because we did fears and phobias and other things that hypnosis is helpful for. But there was a lot of people concerned about their weight. And when that place closed, not only was it amazing for me, that was probably one of the coolest things that ever happened. Is I'm a total sugar junkie, or was. I will frame that properly. I was a total sugar junkie. I had candy everywhere, in my purse, in my pocket, in my car. I'd get up in the middle of the night and go get candy. And
oh yeah,
after
apparently I didn't know, but apparently I'm a sugar junkie.
I'm a sugar junkie. If that's how you define it, then I relate to that. And it was about 3 months working at the hypnosis center, and I was doing that as the therapist. I realized that I hadn't had candy, and I couldn't even remember how long. I had to think back. It had been months that it just wasn't part of my life anymore. I just didn't have that same kind of drive that I used to. And I was very inspired by that. And that sparked my desire to do hypnosis and know it very well. And so I moved up the ranks in that place that I was working, and I ended up being the trainer and training other people. And that place ended up closing for a variety of reasons. But what that left me with was this incredible desire to know more. And I realized that hypnosis is amazing and wonderful and beautiful and helps on a lot of levels, especially when it comes to the habits and patterns and behaviors around weight and food and a lot of other issues. But it didn't totally solve like the physical problem, right? Like people would still have gastrointestinal stuff or constipation or need to get off their diabetes medication, or, you know, what's going on with my blood pressure, like all of that kind of stuff. And when that place closed, I had this huge desire in me to help those people, to know what it was that I needed to know to help people get off of their medications, to lose weight, to feel better, to heal the inside stuff. So that was really my motivation.
So I've been heavy my whole life, and I've tried almost everything. Hypnosis is something I've heard about. I'm staying with my dad down here in Florida, and I'll have to ask him. I think he actually might have tried it for cigarettes. I'm not sure. It's interesting that you have a background in hypnosis, and then you also have the masters, because I mean, I would imagine that you might run into people who are a little bit skeptical of hypnosis. And can you kind of explain when you're talking about hypnosis, is like what do you have a watch you what is, I don't know what I don't know how to separate what I know from movies and TV to like what a real life hypnosis session might look like.
Right, totally. What a great question. And yes, I get that all the time because yes, the way that the media portrays hypnosis, and there is stage hypnosis. That is a thing.
Okay.
That's not what I do. That's why, like, when I tell people, I say I'm a certified clinical hypnotherapist, because that, at least it kind of helps a little bit, I think, identify that this is not the hoogie woogie. You're not going to quack like a duck. You're not going to
Right.
run around with a tutu or like whatever they do.
Well, I still might, but it won't be your fault. So
I had nothing to do with it, I swear.
So let me just interrupt you for 1 second. When you say certified, where's the certification from?
Oh my God, that was so long ago. I want to say I have the certificate. I can totally get it for you in a second. It is is it Pennsylvania? Something with a P, University.
Oh, it's
So
actually it's
a
from a university. It's not. It's like it's okay. That's it. It's interesting.
yeah.
I didn't realize that it was such a accepted, or like I didn't know if it was like from like a hypnosis institute. So it's actually from like an actual university. That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So the thing about hypnosis is that, and this was the best thing that the man who trained me, Dr. Patrick Porter, what he said, he's like, Rose, we're not trying to get anyone into hypnosis, right? Because so many people are like, well, you can't hypnotize me, and we'll try it. And they tried to get like defensive, right? Like you can't control me. He said, we're not trying to get anyone into hypnosis. What we're doing is we're helping them get out of the hypnosis that they placed themselves into.
Interesting.
That train of thought that keeps people stuck in the same pattern over and over again, whatever it is, whether it's an addictive pattern, whether it's any kind of harmful pattern at all, whether it's with food or cigarettes or just negative thinking, whatever it is, that's their own hypnosis. They're repeating to themselves the same lie, if you will, right? That they're stuck, that they can't do it, that it's hard, that it's going to be a lot, that, it's going to bother somebody else. It's going to bother them. It's going to take too much time. It's too much money. They're not worth it. Whatever all of that is, that's their own hypnosis. We are all in a state of hypnosis. We are all just kind of doing our own thinking, and our own thoughts are bouncing around in our own mind, and it's creating feelings, and the feelings create the thoughts, and it's just in this cycle. So really what hypnosis, the way that I was trained with it, what it does is it helps break that state. It helps actually wake you up a little bit. It helps you take back control of your life and your thinking and your mind and your actions and your behaviors. So you're not just going on autopilot, getting the same results that you've always gotten.
Interesting. So is this like, because you have the masters, is hypnosis, is this something that a doctor would recommend, or is this something that someone would have to come and find you apart from like a medical doctor?
Yeah, it still is on the fringes for sure. Now, what's not on the fringes is meditation.
Right. Okay.
So hypnosis is very similar, except for like meditation, it can be used for a variety of different things, but ideally the goal is really about relaxing,
Mm-hmm.
which is step one for hypnosis. Hypnosis really takes it a step further. And the way that I was trained, it's not traditional Ericksonian hypnosis. It's more of a combination of that with NLP, which is neuro linguistic programming. So it's the phrasing of words, where we use the words, the repetition of words, the power of words to create experiences for us. And through that experience, because the greatest thing that the greatest gift that God gave us was the ability to create, to imagine, to think beyond our present circumstances into a different reality. I mean, everything that you see that's not made by Mother Nature was thought up in somebody's mind first.
That's true. So, can you who what type of person, or what, because there's different reasons why people are heavy. What what do you think would make someone a good candidate for this?
Mm. A candidate for the type of program that I have where I use hypnosis as part of one of my tools.
Right. Yeah. What is there a type of issue that someone might have that maybe this is not a good fit for, or is there something like on the other side, like someone who would be a perfect fit for hypnosis?
What a great question. So the only people that really cannot be hypnotized, it's not the ones who are certain that they can't, right? Those are the ones that actually are the easiest to hypnotize.
Okay.
Actually, the smarter you are, the higher your IQ is, like the easier you are to hypnotize, which is kind of funny. And again, it doesn't have anything to do with, being controlled. It's that if you can follow direction, right? So the people who cannot be hypnotized are people who have about an IQ of 70 or below. But if you have the IQ of 70 or below, we wouldn't, you obviously don't, because we wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation. It would be hard for a person like that to find the door, to go somewhere, to have a job, right? Like
Right.
the basic
Okay.
idea is like, if you can follow direction, you can learn. And that's really what hypnosis is. It's really about understanding the way that your own mind works. And that's really what I want to do, is empower my clients. I tell them what I'm doing while I'm doing it so that they know, so that they can then use that same technique in other areas of their life.
So when like, I'm just trying to imagine what this looks like. I was just thinking about Get Out. Like, I'm not. What is a hypnotized person like? They still have all their mental acuity. Like, they still know what's going on. Like, it's not like you're gonna snap a finger and then like they're gonna be like, I want a cheeseburger now. Like, what 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 does it look like? What is a hip like? What does a success look like?
Yeah, I mean that's called the post hypnotic suggestion, with the snap of the fingers, and then it connects, like mentally you connect to something, and actually you've already done this many times yourself. We all have, right? I remember years ago. I mean, I hadn't eaten McDonald's and I can't even tell you how long, but I went to go see Super Size Me with a friend of mine.
Oh yeah.
Dude, you can only stare at French fries on the big screen for so long before you have to go get McDonald's French fries.
Right. I've
Do you
been
know what
there.
I mean?
Yeah. My limit's about 0.8 seconds. So it's the
God,
one.
in 8 seconds. That's so real. So if you think about it, we all have post hypnotic suggestions that are interweaved. Actually, the training that I got for the hypnosis was very similar to the training that a friend of mine got at a very prestigious school for marketing.
Okay.
It's the same kind of training. It's how does the human mind work? How do we get people to do what we want them to do? That's marketing.
Right.
Hypnosis is, how does the human mind work? How do we get people to do what they want to do? People come to
Okay.
me, they want to lose weight. They've been wanting to lose weight for 10, 20, 30, 40, sometimes 50 years. Why are they not doing it? It's not that hard. It's
Right.
not magic, right? There's no magic pill. Like, you got to change your eating, and you got to change the way that you think about yourself and your body. You got to change the way that you think about food. Definitely easier said than done, but it's not like you can, it's not a total mystery.
Right. I mean, to be honest, like you said, it's not a mystery at all. It's to me, I think everyone, especially people who are big, we know exactly what you're supposed to eat. Vegetables, and if you eat meat, meat, or like there's no secret, but
Right.
it's more of a mental thing where I want to have French fries, and it's it's not it's a willpower thing. It's an emotional thing. It's just a habit, I
Yep.
think, for a lot of people. So what? How do you and how does hypnotherapy adjust these issues?
Right. Great question. So the way that the mind works, if we are not intentional, it's easy to think that it just is what it is, that we have no control, that we've got no power, that again, it just is what it is. Like, snap the finger, I want a cheeseburger. See the French fry, got to have the French fry. It's noon, got to have pizza or whatever. Right. Like, but the reality is that there is space between the thought and the action.
Mm-hmm.
And with hypnosis, because we're never going to make a change in the state of frustration, irritation, anger, stress, right? And like, that's typically where a lot of people tend to go when they're dieting, right? It's like, it's control. It's like, okay, I got it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to drink this. I'm going to have this. I'm going to have this little bit of that. And like, they get in control, and it kind of feels a little bit good, because then it's like, we got this focus and we're in control. Okay, we're doing the diet. Like, we're losing the weight. And then what happens is that we kind of fall back into these other habits and patterns of thinking, and wonder why. So we didn't really need the control to begin with, because when we are in that state of stress, you could only manage that for so long. And then you're going to fall back into your subconscious patterns of behavior and thinking. So if we get relaxed first, like the beginnings of a hypnosis session or a meditation, just think of it like a meditation, right? You're breathing deep, you're calm, your body is relaxed, you're calming your mind, you're letting the stress of the day go. And we kind of calm ourselves first. Our nervous system calms down. We begin to go into that place of creativity. We begin to go to that place where we can think beyond our present circumstances, where we can create a life and a pattern of thinking beyond our wildest dreams, and really allow ourselves an opportunity to bring together the resources that we have, the genius that's inside of our own body, to heal, to protect, to serve. And so when we relax, and then we have some guidance on how to then think differently and navigate differently. So one of the techniques I'll just tell you that I use is called future pacing. You've probably heard this,
I
right? And
haven't.
again,
No.
okay. So again, they use that in marketing as well, right? You want to future pace. You want to put into somebody's future the action or activity that you want them to have. With hypnosis, it's the action or activity that my client wants to have for themselves. Right? It's not what I want them to have. They've come to me and said, I have this problem and I'd like to solve it. So one of the techniques that we use is future pacing. So as you think of your future, tomorrow, the next day, you want to add in the things that you want to be there. So if you are wanting to drink more water, but you don't really want like water, then in the state of relaxation, you want to be thinking about yourself tomorrow as you wake up. You're feeling good, you're putting your feet down on the ground, you kind of roll your shoulders back, you look at your watch, you notice that it's perfect time, you look outside, The sky is just a perfect blue as the sun's beginning to come up. You're feeling invigorated by the life energy of the sun. You see, we're creating an experience, we're creating an environment, and your mind is going along with it. And somewhere along that way, we want to add in that you're grabbing a glass of water and it's invigorating to your soul and to your system. That water is life-giving and forgiving as you take a nice sip of that water, and it allows a cooling sensation to run through your body, creating healing and vitality. And then as you're moving through your day, do you see what I mean? We're creating a whole world where what it is that you want is incorporated into your life. And in that state of relaxation, as we begin to future pace the success and the habits and patterns that you want, then when we wake up, it's so much easier to do that. Let me give you one more example.
Go ahead, of course.
The way that the subconscious mind works is like a 3-year-old, right? A 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years old. You're pretty much 100% in your subconscious mind, which means you are just absorbing. There's no judgment, right? You're just in a state of like, oh, this is just how it is. The subconscious mind is like a young child, where there's no judgment, but then that also means that there's not really a lot of discernment.
Okay.
And so the subconscious mind just takes things as it is. It doesn't really understand no. It doesn't understand the not, because it deals in images and stories and metaphors and thoughts, just like the little story that we went on of, like, waking up in the morning and seeing the sun and the invigoration of the water. Like you were creating a picture, right? I'm sure you had a particular window in your mind as you were thinking about it. And like, there was maybe a mountain, because I have a certain mountain where the sun comes up. So that's what I was imagining. So we all have a little bit of a different thing in our mind as people are talking, and our imagination is going and creating pictures and images. And that's how our subconscious works. So for example, if you tell a 3-year-old as they walk in the door and they slam the door really loud and it jars you, and you go, don't slam that door. Well, the subconscious mind doesn't totally understand don't. So especially, oftentimes children, and they'll keep doing it. They'll keep slamming the door, and you're like, dude, I told you. You're like, what don't you understand? You know what I mean? Like, don't slam the door. And they're like, they look so innocent, right? They're like, I didn't mean to. You're like, how did you not? I literally just told you not to slam the door. Like, how are we not on the same page? And what we don't understand is that the subconscious mind is the exact same. You can't say, don't eat the cake, don't eat the cake, don't eat the cake. When you go to the party, don't eat the cake. Rose, you're not having any cake. No matter what happens, no cake. You get to the party, what do?
You eat all the cake. Or I eat all the cake, not you. But
I eat all the cake. And then I'm weird and obsessed because I said that I wasn't going to do it and I didn't want to do it, but here I am doing it and I was imagining it. And now here I am. So you can't not do something. You can't not think of something, right? If you really want to not eat the cake, you have to imagine, then what the, excuse my French.
You can say whatever you want. That's fine.
What the F are you going to do if you're not eating the cake? And that's what you have to rehearse and rehearse and rehearse and rehearse. If I'm not eating the cake, what am I doing? Okay. I'm talking to people. You know what? I'm going to ask them questions. I'm going to see what the name of every single person at that party's mother is. I'm going to ask them if they have a dog. I mean, that's kind of ridiculous, but you see what I mean, right? Like, you want to place into your future exactly what it is that you want and rehearse that over and over. And then it makes it easy. Then it's like, oh, I've been hypnotized. I walk in. I wasn't even thinking about the cake. I was thinking about, what's your dog's name?
So how do you, because I really do believe that there's some sort of addictive qualities to food. And like when you were talking earlier about future pacing, before I all the times I failed losing weight, something that I noticed is if I had food at the house, I'd be okay. But a lot of times my day would get away from me and I'd just be starving and I'd be like, I'm so hungry. I can't go to the store and make the food. I'm just gonna go to McDonald's. So how does hypnotherapy, address that address, even if someone has a plan and they've done all this work, but they just get starving one day and there's a McDonald's there, or does it address this at all, or how does that work?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So part of my program is, it's something that Dr. Lustig, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Dr. Robert Lustig.
I don't
He's
believe I am. No.
Oh man, you would really dig him. His new book is called Metabolical, and it really talks about the addiction, the food addiction, sugar. It's not food, right? Because I'm not addicted to broccoli, honestly,
Right.
right?
No. Yeah. No. I don't think anyone is.
No. And I'm not addicted to really anything that's real food, Like, yeah, I like tomatoes, but I've never dreamed of a tomato or gotten up at 2 o'clock in the morning to go get a tomato.
Right. Of course. Yeah.
So, like, real food isn't actually addictive. It's the way that we process it and the chemicals that are added to it and the sugar and the concentrating of the sugar and all of that stuff. And so one of the things that he said was like, Rose, you can't fight your physiology for long. So if you're starting the morning with either nothing or a donut and coffee, it's a fight. It's a struggle the whole day. So really making sure that it's not negotiable that I take care of my body. It's not negotiable, right? My breakfast is not negotiable. My lunch, it's not negotiable. My dinner, it's not negotiable. Like, that's part of the retraining of the mind, is to also care for the body so that it's not fighting itself, right? We don't want to be fighting our physiology. I mean, yeah, hypnosis is wonderful. Could you probably go, the 2 weeks without food and have hypnosis help you? Sure. But that doesn't sound awesome.
Right. So to me, it sounds not another word, but to me, it sounds like hypnosis is a way of just being a little bit more mindful about what you're eating. Like, it seems like that's kind of at least part of what you're helping people with, is really not having it get to a point where you're starving and, oh, well, I'm just gonna get pizza now. It's it's more of just retraining your brain to think in different ways. Is that a good way of describing it?
That's a really good way of describing it. And as you were talking, it kind of sprung into my mind. It's the fight too, right? Like that internal, the good girl, the bad girl that wants to, the one that wants to control, the one that wants to indulge, like that argument, like constantly. Hypnosis is incredibly powerful at softening that argument and really getting all the different parts of ourself to it's unblend, but then work together, right? So that there's not a fighting anymore inside, that we're being consistent with who we really are. Because the reality is, your body wants to be healthy. It wants to eat real food. It wants to be at its ideal weight. Your mind wants to be clear. You want to have energy. Like, every single cell and system and organ inside the body is doing the best that it can every single day with what it's got, right? And it's always striving for balance, for homeostasis, for health. And if we just get out of the way, then it can really do its job a lot better. And so that internal fight of like, well, whatever the inner dialogue is, and it's different for all of us. Well, I deserve it. It doesn't matter. This little bit, who cares?
Yeah, I've had all those conversations.
Totally, we all have.
So, what, how? Because I mean, I've been doing this for almost a year, and I probably have a 6 to 8 more months to go if I had to guess. On just like the losing part. I guess this is a two-part question. A, how long does it usually take? Like, how many sessions until people start seeing results usually? And then I'm sure it could be different for every person, but on an ongoing basis, is there a benefit to seeing and getting treatments multiple times? And how often do people normally see you?
Yeah, that's a great question. You're going to notice results immediately. And why that is, regardless if you change anything about the way that you eat, which you will, because when we're not stressed out, I mean, the thing about hypnosis is that anything that stress makes worse, hypnosis makes better.
Okay.
And so just knowing and having a plan is so relieving to the human psyche. Then you take it a step further and you actually have not just a plan, but an actual tool that helps you calm your mind, helps your body heal. Like they call the autonomic nervous system, right? Because you have the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. So the sympathetic nervous system is your stress, right? The fight or flight, like, all right, let's go, let's fight, like we're all stressed out. The parasympathetic nervous system is our rest and digest. And so when we're actually intentionally resting and digesting, our body actually gets the nutrients from the food that we are eating. Our mind feels calm. It's a signal to the brain that we are safe, that everything is okay. When we take those few deep breaths in, when we calm our mind and our body, when we allow some space, some time, right, dedicated to our mental and physical and emotional health, it is incredibly healing. And so bodies hold on to weight for many reasons. One of them is because things are toxic, right? Like there's a lot of chemicals, the body stores it in the fat cells and it will just hold on to it for a while. When there's stress, the body will hold on to things. Obviously, when we have extra food, it will hold on to things. For a lot of women, it's emotional, well, for a lot of people, it's emotional and our body will hold on to things. And so when we are telling ourselves, our little girl and our little boy inside, and we're taking that time that everything is okay, all of that moves through a lot easier and you start to lose the weight very quickly. So you'll notice right away. It depends because healthy weight loss is about 1 to 3 pounds a week.
Right.
So depending on how much weight you want to lose, right? It could be a month, it could be a couple of years.
Right. And do you see people on like a weekly basis, a monthly basis, or a quarterly? Like how often do you see people?
Yeah, so I have a group program that I am running right now. And so I have 12 hypnosis sessions that are the best and most powerful for those first stages of weight loss. And I mean, it's pretty typical. We all need to do basically the same things, right? More veggies and fruit, less processed food, more water, more rest, right? Less
Right.
stress, right? So it's pretty standard. So I have like a standard 12-step, 12 hypnosis processes. And then we have coachings so that we can kind of deal with the emotional stuff that comes up. So we talk every week. We have coaching calls and they're going through with like whatever the lesson is that week and the hypnosis that goes along with it. And then you can just continue to cycle through. And that's one of the things that we have done as well, because it always comes back to the basics. And I think that's one of the things that, and maybe for you as well, but that people kind of forget. It's like what you're doing right now should be pretty much the same as what you're going to be doing in 5 years.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
Right?
That's interesting. So where can people find you if they're interested in learning more about you?
Oh my God, I would love for you to come join. So I have a Facebook group where I go live every week and I, give valuable information to my ladies. I do interviews myself. We do challenges. It's really quite awesome. So that group is called Ladies, Let's Button Those Jeans Again. I also do have a website if you want to go there. It's rosesteincoaching.com. You can find me at Instagram, rosesteincoaching.com. Those are good places.
Awesome. And then if someone wanted to do research, like is there either a book or a website or article that you think would be a good resource on hypnosis?
Yeah, let me as I'm just kind of looking here. This is the one here. So this book here was written by the guy who trained me, Dr. Patrick Porter. And it's called Psycholinguistics, the Language of the Mind. I don't know if is that backwards for you?
No, I can see it. Okay,
It's fine.
psycholinguistics, and
The Language of the Mind. Yeah.
and who's it by?
Dr. Patrick Porter.
Dr. Patrick Porter. Okay,
Yeah.
very interesting. Well, Rose, that was like as we talked about, in doing this for almost a year and doing this podcast for over 6 months, it really has shown me how mental and how emotional for a lot of people losing weight is. And I think that like for me, I do a system where I have one meal a day, and that wouldn't work for a lot of people, but obviously there's things that work for people. And if what I'm trying to do with this podcast is give people all of the options that are out there, and if hypnosis works for them, I'm so happy. And it obviously seems to be something that you believe in, because it's something you've dedicated your life to. And I just thank you for coming on today.
Yeah. Awesome.
Thank you very much to Rose Stein for coming on. Again, at Rose Stein Coaching on Instagram. She was very nice to come on and talk to me about it. Again, she's very knowledgeable. She has a master's degree. She's certified. She's done this for years. Listeners of this podcast were the one who told her to call in, and she was very generous with her time. I will be trying one of her sessions out. And again, I'm not sure how to feel about it. The skeptic in me, when I hear about hypnotherapy, doesn't want it to work. But as a person who knows what it's like to lose weight and feel like you've tried everything, I hope it does work for you if you try it. And maybe Rose isn't the person to do it for you. Maybe there's someone, because she does it mostly online, and probably a lot of people do it online now because of the corona. But if you have someone who can do it in person, try it out. There's nothing bad that's going to happen from it. Like I said, you're not going to bark like a dog every time you hear a bell. It's worth a shot, and I'm just very happy and thankful that Rose Stein of at Rose Stein Coaching came on. If you are interested, check her out on Instagram. Tell her that you heard her on the Waistline podcast, and I wish you all the best of luck. And Rose, thank you again for coming on. I thank you for listening to the Waistline podcast. I will be back next Tuesday, as I am every Tuesday, with a brand new episode. And next week's episode, like I said at the beginning of this episode, will be a different point of view. Next week, I have a medical doctor who is coming on, and we had a great talk about her work specializing in helping people lose weight. So we're going to get both sides of the spectrum. And I really appreciate you checking out and listening and watching. Please tell a friend. And don't forget that this podcast is brought to you by Sheath Underwear. Go to sheathunderwear.com and use promo code Syatt. That's SYATT to get 20% off of your first order. Sheathunderwear.com using promo code Syatt to get 20% off of your first order. Thank you all so much. I will see you next week on the Waistline Podcast.